They laughed at him until he became the coolest kid in school. Can you imagine being the target of every joke? Walking into a room and hearing laughter, whispered insults and cruel comments, like you were invisible. Except when they needed someone to humiliate? That was Ethan's life for years. He wasn't strong, he wasn't popular. To many, he was just a loser who would never amount to anything. He was the kid no one wanted around, until everything changed. And the most shocking part, he didn't need revenge. He didn't need to hurt anyone. He only needed to become the best version of himself. And when he did, the same people who laughed at him were the first to wish they could be by his side. But the journey wasn't easy. This is the story of how Ethan, the most ridiculed kid in school, became the most admired. Ethan had always been different. Not the kind of different that made people curious, but the kind that made him an easy target. He was smaller than the other boys, wore thick glasses that constantly slid down his nose, and had a quiet, almost nervous way of speaking. He wasn't good at sports, wasn't part of any popular group, and certainly wasn't someone people admired. At Westfield High, that meant only one thing: he was fair game for bullies. Every school has its hierarchy, and Ethan was at the bottom. He ate lunch alone. He avoided eye contact in the hallways. And no matter how much he tried to blend in, it was like he had a sign on his back that read, "Make fun of me." And no one made his life worse than Jason Carter, the school's golden boy. Tall, athletic, and effortlessly cool, Jason was everything Ethan wasn't. He had a group of loyal followers, a girlfriend who looked like she walked out of a magazine, and a confidence that made teachers overlook even his worst behavior. For Jason, picking on Ethan was like a hobby, a way to remind everyone who was in charge. And Ethan? He was too scared to fight back. But if Ethan thought things were bad, he had no idea that his worst humiliation was just around the corner. Ethan was used to the whispers, the occasional shoves in the hallway, and the cruel laughter behind his back. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened that Friday afternoon. It started like any other day. Ethan kept his head down, avoiding trouble. But Jason Carter had other plans. During lunch, Ethan went to sit at his usual spot in the farthest corner of the cafeteria, hoping to go unnoticed. But before he could even take a bite of his sandwich, Jason's voice rang out, "Hey, nerd! You dropped something!" Confused, Ethan looked up just in time to see Jason holding something high in the air. Ethan's notebook, the one where he scribbled down thoughts, ideas, and even personal notes about how he wished he could be different. His heart stopped. "Give it back," Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. Jason smirked. "Oh, I will. But first, let's see what's inside." Before Ethan could stop him, Jason started reading out loud, mocking every word. "One day I won't be the loser they think I am. One day they'll see me differently." The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Some students clapped, others whistled, and Ethan felt his face burn with shame. Jason wasn't done. He flipped through the pages, pulling out a rough sketch Ethan had drawn of himself. Stronger, more confident, standing tall. "Look at this!" Jason shouted. "Ethan thinks he's going to be some kind of superhero." Laughter exploded again, louder this time. Someone even grabbed Ethan's tray and dumped his food onto his lap. He sat there, frozen, humiliated beyond words. He wanted to disappear, to wake up and find out this was just a nightmare, but it wasn't, it was real. And in that moment, something inside him snapped. This would be the last time he let them humiliate him. He didn't know how yet, but something was about to change. Ethan didn't go home that day, at least not right away. Instead, he walked, block after block, his mind replaying every laugh, every cruel word, every second of that humiliation. He felt anger, but more than that, he felt determination. Something had to change. He stopped in front of a small, old-school boxing gym at the edge of town. The neon sign flickered weakly, and inside the sound of fists hitting punching bags filled the air. Ethan had never set foot in a place like this before. He wasn't a fighter, but today he felt something new, a need to be stronger. As he stepped inside, the air smelled like sweat and leather. The gym was filled with people training, their eyes locked on their goals. He hesitated, feeling completely out of place. That's when he heard a deep voice behind him. "You lost, kid?" Ethan turned to see a man in his late 50s, tall and built like a tank. His face was rough, but his eyes sharp and knowing. No, I mean maybe," Ethan stammered. I want to learn how to fight." The man studied him for a long moment. Then he chuckled. "Fighting isn't about revenge, kid. It's about control." Ethan swallowed hard. "I don't want revenge. I just don't want to feel weak anymore." The man nodded as if hearing something he recognized. He crossed his arms. "Come back tomorrow, 5 a.m. If you're late, don't bother showing up." Ethan didn't even hesitate. "I'll be here." He had just taken his first step toward change. The next morning, while the rest of the world was still asleep, Ethan stood in front of the boxing gym at 4:55 a.m. His hands were cold, his muscles tense. He had barely slept, but he didn't care. Right on time, the heavy metal door creaked open. Coach Reynolds stood there, arms crossed. "You're early," the coach said. "That's a good start." From that day forward, Ethan's life changed. At first, it was brutal. His body wasn't used to the strain. His arms burned from push-ups, his legs ached from endless drills, and the jump rope felt like a punishment. The first time he hit the punching bag, his knuckles stung so badly he thought about quitting. But he didn't. Day after day, he showed up. 5 a.m. No excuses, no complaints. He trained in silence, never telling anyone at school what he was doing. The same people who laughed at him had no idea that every morning before they even woke up, he was getting stronger. And it wasn't just his body that changed. Coach Reynolds didn't just teach him how to throw a punch, he taught him discipline, confidence, control. "A real fighter doesn't act out of anger," the coach told him one day after practice. "You don't fight to prove something to them. You fight to prove something to yourself." Ethan absorbed every word. Over the months, he became faster, stronger. His posture changed. He no longer walked with his head down. His eyes stopped darting around nervously. By the time summer ended and the new school year started, Ethan barely recognized himself. Neither would anyone else. The first day of the new school year felt different. Ethan walked through the halls, but this time he didn't lower his gaze. He didn't slouch. He wasn't the same kid they had laughed at before summer break. At first, no one noticed. He still wore glasses, still dressed simply. But there was something different about him. His presence had changed. People stepped aside as he walked, not out of fear, out of instinct. There was a new energy around him, something unspoken but undeniable. And then came the moment he had been waiting for. Lunch. Ethan grabbed his tray and headed toward his usual lonely corner, but just as he sat down, he heard that all-too-familiar voice. Jason Carter. Well. "Look who's back," Jason sneered, walking up with his usual crew. "Missed us, nerd?" The table went silent. Everyone expected the same reaction as always. Ethan lowering his head, avoiding conflict, taking whatever humiliation Jason threw his way. But this time, Ethan simply looked up, calm, unshaken. Jason frowned, as if sensing something was off. "What's with the face, huh? You finally grow a backbone or something?" Ethan didn't react. He just took a bite of his food, unbothered. The crowd was watching now, waiting for Jason to make his move. Jason, never one to back down, smirked. "Maybe you need a little reminder of who runs this place." He reached for Ethan's tray, his signature move, the ultimate sign of disrespect. But before he could even touch it, Ethan's hand shot up, gripping Jason's wrist hard. Jason's smirk disappeared in an instant. His cocky confidence turned into something else. Shock. Ethan didn't squeeze. He didn't twist Jason's arm. He didn't need to. All he did was hold it. Firm, unshaken, controlled. For the first time ever, Jason felt powerless. The cafeteria was dead silent. Ethan looked him straight in the eye and spoke, calm, steady, final. "Don't touch my food." And then he let go. Jason stumbled back, rubbing his wrist like it had been burned. He forced a laugh, trying to shake off the moment, but everyone had seen it. For the first time ever, Jason was the one embarrassed. Ethan didn't need revenge. He had already won. After that day, everything changed. Ethan never laid a hand on Jason. He never sought revenge in the way movies made it seem. No fights, no public takedowns. But Jason felt it. The power shift, the way people started seeing Ethan differently. It started with whispers. "Did you see what happened at lunch?" Jason tried to mess with Ethan and it totally backfired. "Dude, Ethan didn't even flinch." Jason wasn't used to this. He had built his reputation on being untouchable, the king of the school, and now he had lost control. It got worse. People who used to laugh at Ethan's expense stopped. They didn't defend him. They just didn't find it funny anymore. Some even started nodding at Ethan in the hallways, like an unspoken acknowledgement. And then, the ultimate humiliation. At football tryouts, Jason was distracted, off his game. He kept glancing around, as if expecting someone to mock him the way he used to mock others. He fumbled passes, missed tackles. By the end of the practice, the coach benched him. Jason Carter, the golden boy, was losing his shine. And Ethan? He didn't do a thing. He just lived his life, stronger, more confident, untouchable. That was the best revenge of all. One afternoon, Ethan was leaving school when he heard footsteps rushing behind him. Jason, but this time, he wasn't flanked by his usual crowd. He was alone. Ethan turned, standing tall, his face calm. No fear, no tension, just patience. Jason hesitated, then shoved his hands in his pockets. His usual smirk was gone. Instead, he looked lost. "Hey man, can we talk?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. This was unexpected. Jason Carter, the guy who had tormented him for years, wanted to talk. Still, he nodded. "Go ahead." Jason sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, He exhaled sharply, like forcing out the words was painful. "I was a jerk to you. A massive one." Ethan stayed silent. Jason kicked at the pavement, avoiding eye contact. "Truth is, I don't even know why I did it. I guess making you feel small made me feel bigger. And now, I don't feel big at all." Ethan studied him. Jason looked exhausted, like the weight of his own reputation had finally caught up to him. After a long pause, Ethan spoke. "I don't need an apology, Jason. I just hope you figure out who you are when you're not tearing people down." Jason looked up, surprised. Maybe he had expected Ethan to gloat, to rub his downfall in his face. But Ethan didn't need to. He had already won. As Jason turned to leave, Ethan called out, not mockingly, not cruelly, just a simple, honest statement. "Take care of yourself, man." Jason paused, nodded once, then walked away. Ethan watched him go, realizing something important. This journey had never been about revenge. It had been about respect, self-respect. He'd gone from the kid everyone laughed at to the kid no one dared to mock. Not because he had fought back, not because he had humiliated anyone in return, but because he had transformed into someone who commanded respect without demanding it. That was the true victory. Ethan's story isn't just about standing up to bullies. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need validation from others. Strength isn't just about muscles. It's about confidence, control, and self-respect. And the best part? Anyone can make that transformation. Now let me ask you, have you ever had a moment where you realized your own power? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because someone out there needs to hear this.